Hello, good evening, good day, and welcome to the Questionable Album Club, the podcast where this here, our panel of music fans, attempt to blow the dust off some of rock's curios, failures, and generally perceived missteps. On the panel today, we've got Ross English. Hello, Ross.
Good evening, everybody.
We've got Steve Hackett. Hi, Steve.
Hi there.
We've discussed your blonde hair enough. We're not going to go into that again. Marcus Kingwell. Hello, Marcus.
Yeah, natural blonde over here, if you must know.
That's what I like to see. And Steenie. Hi, Steenie.
Good evening. How's it going?
Good evening, all kids. Before we get into the tonight's album choice and discussion, I'm just going to, as contractually obliged, just share with everybody our current top 10. Oh god, so we have a relatively new number one. I don't know if you can see that. Can we do the thing we usually do? Can someone? Because of course, when I hold it here, I can't see it because it's the. Can someone read out from 10 to 10 up, please? Can someone do this?
Someone does the da, da,
Yeah,
da,
that's it.
da,
Da, da, da, da, da,
Go on, Steenie.
Oh, hang on,
da,
you've
da.
gone over. You've gone over. So from the bottom, are we going from the bottom up?
From 10 up.
10 up. Oh, you've missed the top three. So number 10 is Joni Mitchell, Dog Eat Dog. Number 9, Motorhead, The Manticore Tapes. Number 8, Grinder Man 2. Number 7, Slayer with God Hates Us All. Number 6, Van Halen 3. Number 5, The Rolling Stones with their Satanic Majesty's Request. Number 4, Yes, Drama. Number 3, The Doors, The Soft Parade. Number 2, Happy Mondays, Yes Please. And the recent number 1, Rick Wakeman's Six Wives of Henry VIII.
Billy, you were really good at that, mate. That was really good.
Well, I spent a lot of time listening to Fluff as a kid.
The Six Wives of... and see, it was your choice, today's album. Today we're listening to... Today's episode is all about one of the most notorious records, I suppose, insofar as its Marmite effect on everybody. The Lou Reed and Metallica collaboration, Lulu, double album from 2011. Which was extremely controversial when it came out because everybody, I don't know, interesting. I don't know what people's perceptions. We're coming to this. People's perceptions of the hatred of this. I remember when it came out, everybody hated it. Lou Reed fans hated it. Metallica fans hated it. But a few people liked it, and I don't. Well, I guess we'll talk about its legacy, its reputation. Obviously, this is the last record that Lou Reed made, apart from his Hudson River Meditations ambient album. This is the last kind of vocal album that Lou Reed recorded before he died 2 years later in 2013. It's Lou Reed wrote all the words, and Metallica and Lou Reed wrote the music. I've seen this referred to as a sort of spoken word album, I suppose, because that's just the way Lou Reed has always sung. He kind of half speaks, half speaks a bit like, Marky Smith, that sort of thing. I wouldn't call it spoken word. And it's, yes. So, Steve, do you want to explain? I mean, it's quite obvious. This is a perfect album for this, for us, really, isn't it? But do you just want to explain why you chose this?
Well, it was really the obvious choice, wasn't it? I mean, my choices have, I think, been consistently metal or hard rock based in a way, haven't I? I think I chose Chris Cornell, which was the way he deviated from his usual rock formula to go dance. And then I think, what else did I choose? Sabbath, one of Sabbath's mid-80s clunkers, wasn't it? Eternal Idol, which turned out, in my opinion, not to be that much of a clunker. But so this one, yeah, similar theme. I need to draw for some other genres. I think next time is my choice. But in this time, I was thinking, what album went down like a cup of cold sick when it came out? And for Metallica, there are two big ones, which are Saint Anger, which is their sort of album entirely of their own work from 2003, which was a strange disappointment, had some strange production choices, weird things, born out of a lot of turmoil that was documented on that film. And then the other one is this. And I thought, well, Some Kind of Monster, and people have said their things. Some Kind of Monster documentary said a lot about Saint Anger, and people have said a lot about Saint Anger. Not a lot of people talk about Lulu. It's one of those things that happened. It was a big outrage. Everyone was up in arms about it from, as you said, on both sides of the fence, the Lou fans and the Metallica fans. And then it just seems to have just been put on a shelf. No one talks about it. It shall not be mentioned. And I never listened to it myself. And I thought, I've heard Saint Anger enough times, so if I choose that, I'll be in the sort of the biased camp. I've already formed an opinion about that, so I thought comes to something fresh, we'll go with Lulu. And unfortunately, when I said it, I didn't realise that it was 1 hour 27 minutes long. So apologies to everybody for putting you through that.
I do actually have 1 hour 27 written here, underlined several times.
Yeah, Jesus, yes. And more of that later, I think. But those are my reasons. Pretty basic stuff. Very obvious choice, I think, really, for this podcast.
Indeed. So we'll just go around. Thank you, Steny. I think it's an excellent choice. Marcus, had you heard this record? You a Lou Reed fan, Metallica fan?
Yeah, a big Metallica fan. Got Ride the Lightning back in '84. Saw them at Donington '87. Got all their like 12-inch singles and all that malarkey. Sort of went off them a bit in the '90s, just because they're more, not because of them, but more because my taste was broadening out of just one-dimensional 1980s metal.
Yeah, you got into Megadeth as well.
Yeah, a bit of very good. But actually did get a few of their 21st century records as well, including St. Anger. But this one I saw later with Jules Holland one night. I came in from the pub, stuck the telly on, and they were playing this one. I thought, well, this would be interesting. Because Metallica have done that show quite a few times.
Which song did they do, Marcus? Which song was it? The single, "The View"? Because there was one single off this record, which is the one where James Hetfield sings about being a table. Is it that one?
To be honest, I've shut it out my memory. It was so terrible. There's things when you were a fan.
No spoilers.
No. This is not the album. This is a TV performance. Okay, so it does set a context here. And I just thought this was so terrible. I was also had that inner turmoil where you are really fond of a band, where you love a band really, and you want it to be good, and you're willing it to be good, and you're thinking this is going to be really creative, and Lou Reed's a legend, and all that stuff, and it was just a row. So I didn't bother listening to the album. It was always kind of, kicking when you go through the metal racks in the shop, you see it there, and it's got the cover's kind of not very appealing,
covered in dust.
The shop dummy, yeah, and it's where everyone's leaving. And I just left it. I just thought I'm not bothered. So really, really pleased to have the introduction to it from Steny. Absolutely bang on for this podcast. Do you want an initial impression, or should we just do a
we'll just go around. Very good. Everyone's going. Ross, you strike me as perhaps more of a Lou Reed man than a Metallica man, but I might be wrong.
No, you're spot on there, Seb. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Lou Reed's music. Own a lot of his albums, seen him played live. I'm always taken by the way that he can sort of do acerbic and beautiful at the same time. And I don't know how he quite does that. Lyrically, you sort of look at the lyrics written down, and it's really sort of cutting and sometimes quite grimy, but it's sort of there's a heartbreakingness, is that the word? Heartbreaking quality about them. And for someone who can't sing, he manages to sound, he manages to create a sound which is songful.
I think he can sing. I think he can sing. I think he just chooses not to.
Oh, right. Yeah.
He can hold it. He can hold a tune.
He's probably got a good alto voice, in there. Yeah, no, you're right. But, for someone who doesn't, there's something beautiful about his singing which isn't singing. And so, I think musically, he's been great. Metallica leave me cold. I would 2 weeks ago, I said I know nothing about Metallica, but the last 2 weeks, me, I've been doing my homework and I've been listening to Metallica albums, and I don't get it. I don't get what's.
Ross, can I ask? This is really obviously the important question. Which I'm really nervous about asking this. Which Metallica albums did you listen to?
Ride the Lightning.
Okay, that's
Master of Puppets and Metallica were the three I went with.
Okay.
It may well be the thing that went through my mind is it may well be that the reason I think they sound like everybody else is because everyone else followed them. I don't know, so I don't know that. But the early stuff sounded just like every thrash bit, the syncopated guitar, da, 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 da. And then the later stuff, it was. I don't want to sound like my dad here, but would it kill him to have a melody? So I don't know. It was just there. It wasn't terrible. It's just there. So it left me completely cold. So I was quite looking forward to listening to this album because would Lou Reed elevate Metallica for me, or would Metallica drag down Lou Reed for me? And we'll save that one.
Can I just say, well done everybody so far. Everyone's queuing this up really nicely. Excellent. So Steve, no pressure.
Well, I can ruin that. Metallica, yeah, same as Ross really. I've got absolutely no history with them whatsoever, other than sort of ironic covers of Enter Sandman. So I've done my research and what have you, and you know, I can understand. I sort of get it, you know, with those first 2 or 3 albums. I get it, you know. I know that you know, I can see that they were taking, you know, metal into different places. I really do. I mean, after that, it sort of lost it a little bit for me. You tell me. I've no idea, but I'm not a massive fan. But yeah. I mean, listening to Kill 'Em All was probably the most fun that I've had researching this particular record. Lou Reed's a different thing. Massive history with Lou Reed. I mean, you know, I remember, you know, as a teenager, the first time I saw pictures of the Velvets, I mean, that was it. I just fell in love, you know. I knew I was going to love them. And to this day, I still think, you know, the coolest thing, you know, probably stick my neck out, the greatest band ever. And obviously Lou Reed was a massive part of that. Solo, hit and miss, isn't it, really? I tend to think that other than the New York Magic and Lost sort of blip, if you like, in the 90s, whenever that was, late 90s, you can pretty much dismiss everything after Street Hassle. I remember going to see him. One of the first gigs I saw when I came to London in '83 was him on the Mistral tour. I was fucking awful. It was. I wish I'd never gone. I mean, it completely
Mistrial,
whatever it was. Terrible record, terrible tour. The big mullet, the terrible versions of Velvet stuff. It was awful. And then I saw him later on the New York tour. And obviously better because it was a better album, but he was just a prick. He was just spent the whole 2 hours just berating the audience from start to finish. But I love him. So this was the last record that he made, apparently, yeah, before he died. So
apart from his ambient album.
Apart from that, was that posthumous or whatever?
No, it came out while he was alive.
Did it? Okay. So love Lou Reed from that point of view. Yeah, this album. On we go. Carry on.
Excellent. Okay. My own. I liked Ride the Lightning, Kill 'Em All, Master of Puppets. I wasn't a big thrash fan, you know, back in the day, but I liked. Everyone liked those records, right? And I love Lou Reed. I love the Velvets. I really like Street Hassle. I like Into every now and again. I like the Blue Mask, the Raven. I like you know, in Lou's big, long, vast, sprawling catalogue. Everyone's got their own little weird peccadillos and stuff, and I love him. And I was aware of this. The reviews. I never felt impelled to listen to this. It was a strange collaboration. I thought, well, Lou Reed is this, and Metallica is this, and but their music was kind of calcified. Their kind of direction was thus, and it was. What's the point in these two legacy artists doing something? Where's that? What's the new thing going to be from this? So I always kind of avoided it. The reviews were so bad, apart from every now and again there was the occasional outlier. It almost felt like a novelty. The rave review almost felt kind of ironic. It was kind of like the reviews are so bad that I kind of went along with a kind of ha 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 ha, and all the photos of them looking really serious with wearing sunglasses and leather, and I just thought, oh dear, really. So this was new to me, and yeah. So we've all kind of been coyly dancing around this. Steenie, what did you think upon listening to it?
Unmute myself. Right. So, crikey. Well, where to start with it, really? I mean, maybe
start at the Brandenburg Gate.
The Brandenburg Gate. Exactly. It's always good to have a geographical reference in a song. And he takes it straight to Berlin. So, what interests me about this record, as much as any of the music thing, is the conceit of it. When I started to read the background of what inspired him to write these songs, they're based on these plays. Is it by what's the guy's name from Wiedekind?
Yep.
And I started to look into a bit of that because you know how I was with the Henry VIII thing. I was thinking, how has he managed to work this into the lyrics? And obviously they're German plays, so Brandenburg Gate's a good place to start geographically. But straight away, the thing that really struck me with this was the kind of, from the very start, some of Lou's like lazy rhymes started to get on my wick almost immediately. Is like Peter Lorre and Gory, breezes and treeses, like coughs and sneezes spread diseases. And the first bit, it had this, the first song, it has this feel like it's a sort of jam, and you don't really hear James Hetfield sort of start. It's quite a lumpy kind of riff, comes in, and Hetfield comes in with this sort of small town girl hook thing. Oh, and instantly, what it reminded me of is like they've just jammed this idea out, and Hetfield's picked up on this one line that Lou said, and he's just suddenly going like "small town girl," and I instantly had these visions of that bit in The Office when David Brent's playing his songs to people, and then Mackenzie Crook, Gareth, the character, starts singing along and just doing random backing vocals, and it had that feel to it straight away. It just seemed like such a mismatch of like no one seems to know what they're doing, and no one seems to know what they're doing for like 6 minutes. And I kind of get the idea that there's this experimental vibe where we're like, well, we'll just throw this shit at the wall and see what sticks. But I think you do have to have some kind of like cohesive vision. And overall, time after time on this record, I'm just like, what were the decisions on this? There are a few points in this record where you actually get something approaching a song where you can say this is a collaboration. Because a lot of the time it does just sound like Metallica laid down a load of tracks and they basically just jammed a riff for 25 minutes and then Lou Reed talked over it. And that's sort of the formula. And I don't know if that counts as collaboration or where we are with that is because it's not just, songwriting is sort of thrashing out an idea, creating a vision, putting some emotions across to collectively. It's not just this guy does this.
Steenie, did you not think that this was much more of a kind of art piece? Art piece,
I
and
think
it wasn't. See, it wasn't.
That's how they wanted to approach it. But the thing,
Steenie, can I just embellish? In other words, it wasn't. Here's the intro. Here's the verse. Here's the chorus. Here's the verse, or here's the guitar solo. It's very much here's a bit like a late period Scott Walker album, or
but it's not got any of that sort of elegance or like overarching vision, has it? It's not got like the kind of that. There's ways of doing that sort of of being experimental and still having and still having something that sounds something worth saying. If you're making a statement artistically, it doesn't matter how you do it. If you do it in a very rigid song form structure, or if you do it in a free form kind of way, there has to be something that you're actually saying of value. And so in Brandenburg Gate, I was getting this sort of like German vibe, and he's talking about Nosferatu and Peter Lorre and all these different references and things, and it sort of sets an atmosphere, but it sort of sets a kind of cartoonish kind of like if you asked ChatGPT to write the lyrics to that song, I think they could have done as good a job.
Okay.
And,
okay.
So,
Steenie, hold it there. Steenie, hold it there. I want to keep this flowing. Marcus, what were your thoughts? Obviously, we can move beyond the Brandenburg Gate into central Berlin and appreciate the view.
An opinion. Well,
the view is the second fucking song on the album, Marcus. It's quite clever.
You don't mean an opinion? Am I being too literal?
Yeah, no, go on.
All your clever references to song titles. Well, of course, I approached this with the same sort of approaches that everybody else did, particularly having seen and heard that performance on later with Jules Holland. But I was immediately drawn in and thoroughly enjoyed the whole thing from start to finish. And I'm not saying that because I want to be contrary at all. It just got me. It was different. It was kind of what I was expecting, I suppose, but much better executed than that television performance. I like the fact that Metallica weren't doing their sort of trying to be their clever songwriting of about 10 different bits of a song all stitched together and tempo changes and riff changes and all the rest of it. That it was just one really long, dirgy riff pretty much through each of the different songs. I don't normally like long albums, and I've said this several times on the Questionable Album Club, but this one, the 1 hour 27, was kind of irrelevant to me. I just kept listening and going over, and then it started over again, and I was just really enjoying it. So it's been a massive surprise. It was on more of a, I suppose, to Steenie's points. Yeah, there is a massive conflict between Lou Reed's lyrics and his delivery and his backing music, and it's almost like he's sort of recorded that first and they've stuck some guitars underneath it. But I just don't mind it. I actually like it. I like the kind of non-fit between those two parts of the music, and I see it. I don't really want to call it art. I know what you're getting at, Seb, but it is more from that direction of things, and they're just trying to create something sonically, and they don't care about verses and choruses. It's just here's some stuff that we're going to record, and it sounds really good. It's just that basic to me in enjoyment, and I've had it on. I've played it over and over, and it's a massive surprise. I really didn't anticipate this at all. I mean, the other thing, just say about, I suppose, the other connections. I've got a soft spot for Lou Reed without being a massive fan, so there's a bit of warmth there. With Metallica, I've liked their albums, but I found them kind of annoying as people. I've never had the sort of warmth with them as a band. Do you know what I mean? I mean,
we all
Lars,
find them annoying as people.
oh God, I mean, Lars always pops up and has got an opinion and everything. It's just that's really irritating. With some bands, I'm genuinely fond of the individuals, but so I haven't got that. So there's a bit of a different chemistry going on here in terms of the kind of affection with the musicians. But as an output, I just thought it's fantastic, and the sound is so immense. It's probably the best sound I think I've heard on a Metallica album. It's just massive and crunchy and deep and big and bassy and crystal clear and everything. It's a kind of a thrill to be bashing your eardrums. It's going to get a lot of marks from me.
Wow. Mark, is that unexpected? Wow, fantastic. At least that snare doesn't sound, it's not the fucking St. Angus snare. It
That's
sounds like a
point.
snare.
That is an irritation, yeah, and it's not compressed in the same way. Yes, that's a good point.
Sounds like a dustbin there, doesn't it? Ross.
Well, is it all great art divides opinion? I hated it. It's my least favorite of anything we've done on this club, and I include Metal Machine Music and Pat Boone in this. I hated it, and I listened to it 5 times, and it was a real struggle. It sort of had some. The frustrating thing was it would have some glimmers of promise in that every time I put it on, I would start listening, and Lou Reed would be doing his Lou Reed thing, and then the guitars come in, and I'm thinking, am I misjudging this? Actually, is this more interesting than I'm giving it credit for? And every time within about 2 or 3 minutes, it had been bashing me over the head to the point that I just couldn't bear it anymore. And I was trying to think of it in that if this wasn't Metallica, if this was John Cale doing something in the background, actually, would I be feeling like this? Because some of this could have sort of come off white heat, really, in that sort of cacophony way. But it was just that I think the problem was I think it's some of the worst lyrics of Lou Reed's written. I mean, he had moments, but there are an awful lot where it was just all over the shop, and I didn't see what the Metallica stuff brought to it at all. And I'm absolutely with Steenie. It just sounded like they were working on 2 different albums here. And the James Hetfield backing vocals, I think your analogy of The Office is perfect. I mean, the way he tortures the vowels at the end of every sentence, why did I do this to my say? Yeah. And it was like, isn't there not a producer saying, James, do you reckon we could just try it just with the guitar this time?
I have to say that I think that when James Hetfield sings, it breaks the spell of Lou Reed.
Yes.
Yeah. I would agree. Actually, that loses a mark for me.
I made a note saying exactly that. He's just not tempered his vocal performance at all to match like Lou, like the mood of any of it. It's just him doing his thing all the time,
repeating the same phrase over and over, like a chorus, like he's comfortable with.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the 2 tracks, which were sort of like the higher points for me, is I think Iced Honey sounded like that actually someone had written a song. The lyrics and the music seemed to go together. And the last one, Junior Dad, where Metallica don't sound at all like Metallica, that really works, but it goes on for 12 minutes. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of an album where 2 really established artists had made something that was really that was worth both of their talents. Beyond the odd single or something. And I was really struggling. And I think maybe when you've got such strong presences in the studio, they're never going to mesh together and actually produce something of coherence.
Well, isn't it quite for me? It was a question of this. It's like where is that? Does it sound like an ego clash? And I think the thing for me, I just want to just fess up. I'm with Marcus. I was completely hugely surprised by how good I thought this was. I really liked it. I think I've got caveats. I thought the view was some of it was didn't work at all. I didn't like the view. Some things were silly, but I thought it had moments that I thought were genuinely brilliant. But as a whole, I thought the whole thing worked. I enjoyed it. I think the sonics work. What Metallica were doing, they sounded free of the structure of having to do thrash metal, verse, chorus, Kirk on the wah wah pedal, and the stop starty riffs. I thought they sounded, hey, we're creating a soundscape, man, and Lou Reed's doing this thing. I thought this worked as kind of like American art music. I mean, these grizzled old guys, I just thought it just kind of, it transcended itself, which is all you can hope from this sort of thing. But Ross, back to your point, which is about something like this is going to be there are going to be egos in the room, and ego, where do we and I thought what was, do you agree even that this feels like a relatively ego, you can't hear them bashing up against each other like stags, although apparently there was Lou Reed apparently offered Lars to look out for a street fight. Did you read about this in the making?
A street hassle?
Street fight. He was 69 when he recorded this, Lou Reed.
It's because James has been through his de-ego thing, hadn't he, at this point as well?
Exactly.
Because he's done his therapy. He's been completely stripped of all ego now.
Has he got no ego at all? He's lost his id and everything's gone.
I don't know what's happened to him. He's lost. Yeah, he just seems like a nice old man now.
Can I just hold Steve Hackett? I'm really sorry. We seem to have entered a general discussion without actually having asked you what you bloody thought of it, mate. I'm so sorry.
I'll be very brief, Seb. What he said basically. That's Ross.
I can't see where you're pointing.
I'm pointing at Ross.
I think we've all got people like.
It's a fucking awful album. I've got very little to say about it. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I watch your Metal Machine music thing. I didn't want to say the same things about Lou Reed. I think it was you, Seb. You brought up, that Metal Machine music. I know it was partly contractual, but it was also a fuck you, wasn't it? It was a typical Lou Reed type of statement, and this one feels the same. I don't know how ill he was, what the situation was. I've got no idea.
You don't know how ill he was?
Well, he was dying, wasn't he?
Was he dying when? I don't think he was dying when they was making this. I'm not sure. I don't know. I've not heard reports that he was ill when he was making this. Has anyone else heard that?
I mean, I'm not an expert of these plays. I read a little bit about them. These Wiedekind plays sound absolutely fascinating, and all that sort of thing. I mean, I may be very, very wrong, but his lyrics don't seem to have much to do with it. It seems like he's just said, right, I'm going to take the really nasty sort of an S&M violent element of it and just make this a sort of Lou Reed statement. You know what I mean? I mean, pretty much 1 hour of the record, the lyrics are horrendous, nasty, awful, virtually unlistenable. And whether he was doing that as I don't care, I'm just going to be Lou Reed, that's what you expect me to be.
No, clearly, is it just me? I thought lyrically, it was quite clearly a commentary on the dreadfulness of men. And the rapey, misogynistic. I thought it was a kind of almost a kind of men's confessional, dirty old man, awful failure, the failure of the male, I just thought it was a bleakly ironic confession statement about
like that when you read them, though, does it? That's an argument for a lot of these. That's fine.
Can I just say, did anyone else not see the whole album like that?
Yeah, I thought it might be that, but what I read from the plays is that actually the way the plays are written, that she's a bit of a Becky Sharp user sort of character who just works her way through lots of men to get where she wants to be. Then she gets murdered by Jack the Ripper. Or something. So the one song that I thought might tie in quite, because there's that whole pumping blood bit where it's just all about being murdered horribly, and she's like, "No, Jack," and that's the sort of Jack the Ripper murder bit. But that happens quite early on. That's like track 3, isn't it? Pumping blood. And I was like, well, I thought that happened at the end of the second play, according to what I'd read, not having ever seen these plays, obviously. Pandora's Box, play number 2. I think she gets killed by Jack the Ripper or something, from what I understand. So she does get horribly used by men, but I think she's also a bit of a user. I don't know if he's just trying to reclaim the narrative or something. I don't. Who knows? Who knows with Lou Reed? But I agree with Steve.
he did it so much more beautifully and so much more succinctly in 5 minutes in Venus in Furs in 1966 or whatever. This is just prolonged and it's hard to listen to. And I gave it 3 goes, but Jesus Christ, I couldn't listen to it again. It was
Steenie, last time a minute ago we spoke to you, you were talking about Brandenburg Gate and that Hetfield's repeating "Small Town Girl" la la la. Did anything grab you subsequently?
There were quite a few things. Well, no, they did. What Ross said actually about Iced Honey and also the last tune, Junior Dad. Exactly the same thing. With Junior Dad, I really liked that whole. It had sort of it wasn't quite there, but it had this sort of noise vibe of just kind of like this riff that just kept going, and it was quite mellow. And it had that sort of, but you would get into it, and then it had that jerky last do bit.
I like that.
And you'd snap out of it, and then you'd be back in it again, do, and I quite like that. And I've put between that and between Junior Dad, which I also thought lyrically actually wasn't terrible. It had some nice bits in it about kind of being men being badly brought up by father figures and things, that sort of stuff. I mean, it made more sense lyrically than a lot of the stuff that's in there, which I agree with Steve was a lot of just like mindlessly sort of sadistic and juvenile, really, a lot of the time.
For an hour.
Given that he's like an 80-year-old man or whatever he was at the time, it seemed to me quite childish, a lot of it. Just like, oh yeah, listen to what I can say now.
Yeah.
When William Burroughs does it, it's kind of like, yeah, cool. And then, but yeah, I don't know. Lou Reed's done a lot of that, and he's sort of repeating himself again. He's just baking the same cake again and again. And yeah, I put like Junior Dad though. I did think it could be the best track, but it's slow to start, and then it just goes on ever so slightly too long. But I kind of got into that. And then yeah, but there's quite bits, there's riffs in it, there's bits in it where I'm like, this would be a good Metallica album, and this would be a good Lou Reed record. And I think where the two meet is on Iced Honey, where it's approaching a song, and not that, like we've said, it's not that it's about songs, it's about albums and experiences and what have you. It's not, but individual moments do make good albums, and I think Iced Honey is the closest thing to like a sort of a kind of song that all hangs together. It sounds like people working together, regardless of whether it's meant to be a semi-experimental art statement. It sounds like they've actually come to some kind of like genuine consensus about what they're trying to do on Iced Honey. But then other comments I've got, cheat on me, boring as fuck, I've written. And, frustration, cool riff. Oh, but yeah, all I do is follow. Because he sounds like a really old fella then, doesn't he? He sounds really shaky at that point. And then at one point he sounds like Papa Lazarou as well.
He sounds like an old fella throughout. I think that's the whole point of it. To me, it's like this grizzled old failure.
Yeah.
Reminiscing in a self-lacerating way. That's what I hear throughout with Metallica, creating this kind of, to me, it's like Metallica are his ego almost. So I'm getting a bit, Metallica are almost kind of who he wants to have been, but he's failed to be that. Metallica are this kind of sheen, this fast, slick, meticulous machine of sound, which he's failing to be as the vocalizer for it. To me, I found the whole thing genuinely quite. Marcus, I know me and you, we've lost the popular vote here, but we'll go down. We'll go down with a fight, man. We'll go down with a fight. Come on.
You know what I said? It's rare that we agree on these pods. This is quite an unusual thing. Normally
we should make the most of it.
Yeah, it could be short lived. You wait till fortnight's time, we'll be at least throwing his throats again.
Did anyone else think that the riff on the first song, which is probably the only decent song there on Brandenburg Gate, it's Ziggy Stardust, isn't it?
I thought it was Knocking on Heaven's Door.
Is it?
Oh yeah, it's
a
3-chord thing.
Yeah. Marcus, when I queued you up then, you were supposed to say something, not just say yeah. You were supposed to, it's your turn, Marcus, to say something good about this great album. I'm just spent. I'm a dried out husk at this point. Everything came out in my first gasp. Okay, Ross, we're back to you then, mate. Come on. Was there, Ross? Was there anything you liked in this? You love Lou Reed, so he's had a long career. You know Dylan when Dylan's voice went into kind of like talking in a husky kind of fucked up voice like this. Lou's doing this, right? There were the points of this that you thought, okay, yeah, I'm getting this. This is working for me, or not at all.
No, not really.
No, okay.
I mean, I think I mean, in some ways, actually, I'd not heard this before we did this, and so this is sort of the first time I've heard his last vocal performance, essentially, and it was noticeable actually how the voice is going at that point. I mean, it changing, should I say, not necessarily going, which you'd not really caught on previous ones, and I thought that was interesting, but it was just I don't know. I mean, I just normally, even if on every album he's done, there's something beautiful lyrical somewhere, and I just didn't hear it here, and I didn't view it as ironic or playing a part, where it might be. I didn't see it like that, and there's, I mean, he's always got a history of doing dodgy things in his lyrics. I mean, generally does dodgy racial things in his lyrics over his career, and another one pops up on this, and
it does, yes.
Rather than thinking actually he's playing a part here and he's poking at it because he's got this history of throwing in dodgy racial lyrics occasionally. I just thought, oh God, no, not another one, Lou, come on, and I think that the idea about whether I think this would have benefited a bit more from the two things butting up against each other. I didn't get that. I just didn't see how anything sat together at all like this. I didn't see. It sounds to me like they're in completely different recording studios.
Ross, what would you have wanted when you say you wanted more butting up together? We talked about how inappropriate James Hetfield's vocals feel when they come in. Would you have wanted more guitar solos? I mean, there's quite a lot of Lars and his fills. There's quite a lot. I think the drums are used quite expressively.
It's that musically most of the time that it seems to be in a different universe to what's going on lyrically. I think if you mention in Junior Dad where you do get this sort of the drums are being used to break up this long thing, that sort of made a bit of sense. It was very much a sound of they've written some music, he's written some lyrics, let's stick them together and see what happens. And I didn't just find that there was any sense of one bouncing off the other. It was just they were doing their separate things.
I really didn't. I was expecting to feel that Metallica had written the music. Here's a bunch of riffs that we think are okay, and Lou's just going to talk over the top. I felt the music was collaborative as well. It didn't sound like Metallica had written this music. It sounded like Lou had. I imagine he plays guitar in it as well because Lou's a guitar player, and the guitar on Junior Dad sounds like, it doesn't sound like Kirk Hammett or James Hetfield. So I can hear Lou playing guitar on this. And I think musically, we're all assuming that Metallica write the music and Lou just. I can't help but feel that Lou Reed was heavily involved in the music here. So anyway, let's. We're all running out of things to say quite quickly. Steve Hackett, do you have anything?
I would have liked to have seen with him doing something like this. Is maybe, take the narrative of the plays, perhaps, and so you sort of know what's going on all the way through it in an hour and a half, rather than just focus on this, this nasty sort of, violent, shit that he did. And I mean, as a sort of statement like that, maybe he was thinking, well, this is what you think I am, this is what I'm going to be, and that's fine. That would sort of be typical of him, but I think Metal Machine music's more interesting than this. And overall, I just don't like it.
Go on, Marcus.
I was going to say, were you hoping for a concept album then, where there's told a story start to finish?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Maybe that's what I was. Maybe interested in the plays, something like that. But it wasn't. He seemed to focus on one aspect that may or may not be part of the plays. I don't know, but it was obviously the Lou Reed bit that interested him. So I know it's hard to listen to, isn't it? Let's be honest.
I've just looked up and it was Marcus. when you saw the one Jules Holland,
they
were doing Iced Honey. Funnily enough.
Okay, right. And, is that on YouTube? That clip, or do you?
It is. I've literally just looked it up. It's on YouTube. Yeah, so we might put this link in the comments. Also, did anybody see? There was only one official single released off this album, which was The View, which is track 2. Has anybody seen the video for it?
No.
It's spectacularly inappropriate. It's like a black and white metal video. The second thing you see, and the second shot of the entire video is Robert Trio, the Metallica bassist, in the back of a car going as the car goes past. It's like, oh my god, talk about missing the fucking point of what this is supposed to be. Fucking
that's brilliant.
Black and white in the studio, fucking giving it all the riffs. It's like, oh my lord.
There seem to be quite a lot of producers credited to this. Does anyone know if anyone's in charge here?
I was wondering if it was more like an engineering thing, because there was some of it was from demos, wasn't it? I wonder if there was some demo performances from Lou's original demos that were salvaged and pasted on in some way, or tarted up or something, and there was an initial engineer or producer he was working with to do those demos. I was wondering that, but I couldn't make head or tail. I wasn't that interested, to be honest, either.
Because a lot of the albums we do on here, there's on the Questionable Album Club, there's sometimes always a question about who was in charge and where the albums are running out of control, and it's like, well, actually, who was producing here? And often it's because the band have taken control, and that's the problem. And I was just wondering who was shaping this? Was this a genuinely collaborative efforts between two equal components in Lou Reed and Metallica, or was somebody in charge?
Yeah.
I think that's a really interesting question. I think I'd much rather see a documentary of the making of this album than making of St. Anger. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
this would just be fascinating to watch these people working together and collaborating. I imagine they all deferred to Lou. I can't imagine anything other than that.
But that's interesting, because Metallica definitely sounding like Metallica on this, and often when you get the musicians coming in to support someone else, they will bend around that person's orbit. And
I think Lou wanted Metallica to sound like Metallica. I think he wanted that hard edged, because he's not used to working with that kind of palette. So I think he was like, yeah, this is great, Okay. Anyway, I think we can probably get to summings up and scores. Steve, do you want to give us a bit of a sha?
We need favourite song as well, sir.
Oh, we need favourite song. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Okay, yeah, Steenie. So, summing up, if you feel you can just give me a number and
a little bit of something, a small bit of something. I think kind of expected, but a missed opportunity. In some ways, considering the legendary status of each, but obviously neither of them at the peak of their career at the time anyway, so maybe expected. My favourite song would be probably Iced Honey, but I do think Junior Dad on second listen, just because it's so bloody long. Junior Dad sort of tried me a bit. And I think it's because there's that sort of secret hidden drone at the end, which is theoretically part of the track, but actually doesn't do anything, is it? So it's really only about 10 minutes long, the song, even though it's a 20 on Spotify, I think, or whenever I listen to it. So, I'd say Iced Honey for favourite track. But yeah, some good ideas in there, good riffs, some good moments. But overall, overlong, exhausting at times.
A bit like this, Steenie. Give me a number.
A little bit like this. So I'm going to work up. Very good. I'm going to work up to 35.
Thank you very much, Marcus. Let me write your Iced Honey. Okay, I'm all good. Yeah, Marcus.
Yeah. Well, best track. I'm between Junior Dad and The View. I think The View might be the slowest metal song of all time. It's just got a fabulous slow beat to it. But yeah, it's the outro of Junior Dad that really got me. And that will get my vote as track of the album. Overall, this thing is a hidden treasure, a delightful discovery. The points I'm going to subtract are for James Hetfield's backing vocals, which they're not backing their forward vocals, but they're just really irritating. But that's the only negative bit. I'm going to give this 90 points out of 100.
Okay, now. Thank you, Marcus. Sorry, Marcus, what was your favourite song?
Junior Dad.
Junior Dad. Okay. Ross?
Yeah, I understand why musicians, when they've been around a while, want to work with each other and go, wouldn't it be great if I could, if we could got together, but then I have to release it as an LP. So it just, I don't know, it didn't work for me. I'm gonna go with Iced Honey as my favorite track. But I really struggled with this. I mean, I really, really struggled with this. I'm gonna give it 10 points.
Thank you. Do you know what? When you say that, Ross, when you said that about when two artists work together, does it have to be an album? I sort of thought the same. When I heard Junior Dad, I thought they should have just released this and just put it out as an EP, and everyone would love it and think, "Fucking what a collaboration!" They should have made an album and just saved the rest till everyone died. Steve Hackett, summing up a number and a favourite track.
I completely agree with you, Seb. Junior Dad's an anomaly, isn't it? It's a little bit too long, as we've discussed. And that makes it, for me, it's not the best track in the album. The best track in the album for me is The View. I actually like James Hetfield's backing vocals on the Brandenburg Gate, but Lou's lyrics ruin it. They're much better on The View. It's a Sabbath riff, I presume, but it's a good track. You know, the rest of the album, which is basically 80% of the album, is fucking awful. So on that basis, 10 for that, 5 for that, 5 for that, 20 out of 100.
20. Thank you very much. My favourite song, I liked Junior Dad as well. I thought it just worked. Lou sang in a kind of tender fashion. I love it when the strings coming and going for ages. I just thought it was beautiful, and about a failure of a father. I just loved it. I thought it was profound and elegiac. And the last thing he sings on a record and it goes out, I thought the way it ended was kind of a lovely way for Lou to end his kind of career / life / everything. But I'm actually going to name Pumping Blood because everyone's talking about Junior Dad. But I thought Pumping Blood was really worked for me. It was like just kick ass, and just the whole thing worked. The kind of thrash metal with Lou Reed at the top just worked for me. And I'm going to give the whole thing 70, which gives us a total of 225 divided by 5, which gives us 45 out of 100. And 45 out of 100, if I just go to my 45 out of 100 puts it okay. Well, this scores 2 points more than Lou Reed's Metal Machine Music. So this puts it in 11th place. Okay, so Lou Reed's Metal Machine Music has 43 out of 100, and with 45 out of 100 comes Lulu, and it's just outside the top 10. Joni Mitchell is at number 10 with Dog Eat Dog at 45.6. So this is 0.6% worse than Joni Mitchell's Dog Eat Dog. If only they hadn't made it a double. But Marcus, I agree with you. I thought it didn't outstay its welcome at all. I wasn't bored at any point. Can I just say one more thing about this, right? As a pro guy, what's funny about this is, you know, when Junior Dad, after all those strings go and it just fades out, if you put it on again, the first song is in exactly the same key. Exactly, you could literally loop it, the whole thing. You could loop it, and it just starts to get, it kind of comes in that kind of acoustic guitar, and it's just like, yeah, man, you could just, Marcus, we should start a playlist with it, just kind of going over and over.
We've got it. I love it. Yeah, just like playing it forever. Just have our own channel where it just
that's a good idea. Yeah. Let's put a link in the comments.
There's a road trip you need to do there with just that on the CD player. You know?
We could drive to Scotland or something.
Just round around the Isle of Wight. Just round around.
Let's drive to the Brandenburg Gate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Loop.
Ross, it's your turn. What are you giving us, mate?
Okay, we've done stuff like this before. I mean, the reason why this is questionable is something which we've revisited. It's the time when a band has lost its classic lineup and has, or at least one member, and then releases subsequent albums and raises the question of to what extent was that person or people important and actually what makes a band. So we're going to be doing Pink Floyd. We're going to be doing the first post Roger Waters LP, which was 1987's A Momentary Lapse of Reason.
We haven't done any Pink Floyd, have we? It was going to come at some point, wasn't it? I don't know it at all. Anyone else know it? Steve, I bet you know it.
Yeah, I can't give an opinion on it at the moment, but I've heard it.
Okay. Marcus, are you familiar with this record?
Don't know it.
Hackett?
No, but funnily enough, I was talking to my mate about this, the podcast and everything, and he said you should do A Momentary Lapse of Reason. So there you go.
Ross, there's two of them, right? There's Momentary Lapse of Reason and Division Bell. Was this one first?
This was the first one, yeah.
Was this the one with the beds or the one with the
beds? There's one with the beds.
Beds. I'm going to put beds one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so this was the one that where David, he doesn't like being called Dave, does he? David Gilmour, he restarted the band without.
Yeah.
That was controversial. Right?
Yeah, he worked with a lyricist, and he brought him and
Polly, his wife?
No. I can't remember who it is now. But him
Oh,
and
we'll
Nick
talk about it.
Mason stayed as Pink Floyd, and they brought Richard Wright in, I think, as session because he didn't rejoin the band formally.
Okay, very good, very good. Ross, that's a very good choice.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, very good choice. We'll see, won't we? We'll see you next time. Right, thanks everyone. That was really fun. And yeah, cheers. Please like and subscribe. Thank you, Steenie. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Goodbye,
Night.
Marcus. Goodbye. Thank you, Steve. Cheers, mate. Thanks ever so much. Ross, cheers, and thanks everybody. And we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.